Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the truly fascinating homeopathic profile of NATRUM MURIATICUM. But, we aren't going to look at this as just some dry, clinical medical list. No way. To really understand and remember these symptoms, we're going to treat this profile like a living, breathing character. We are going to explore the tale of the Salt Princess. Okay, let's dive into this. Our subject, the Salt Princess, is literally born from something you probably have sitting on your kitchen table right now. Ordinary, common salt. But her clinical profile represents some truly extraordinary healing power. If you were to look right at her, you'd see someone who appears incredibly delicate. She's pale, she's thin, her face has this distinctly shiny, oily, almost waxy appearance to it, and she carries these deep, deep blue rings around her eyes. But right off the bat, there's a glaring physical paradox about her that we absolutely have to address. The core question that really defines her physical state is this: how on earth can someone eat so well and still become so thin? It kind of defies logic, right? Despite having this hearty, robust appetite every single day, she constantly loses flesh. And here's a very specific, crucial detail you want to remember. This weight loss is especially noticeable right around her long, thin neck. It's such a striking visual image, a hearty eater who is literally wasting away. To understand why this is happening to her physically, well, we have to look a bit deeper into her heart. Section 1. A Profile of Hidden Grief. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is her profound, almost paradoxical reaction to comfort. When she's weeping, and trust me, she cries over the absolute smallest things, her immediate reaction to anyone trying to help is basically, please don't console me. If you try to comfort her, she actually becomes even more upset. She'll just turn away in tears. It is a complete and total rejection of external sympathy. So why does she reject this comfort? Well, it's because she's carrying around a massive, heavy burden of old grief, disappointment, fright, anger, heartbreak. She just hasn't been the same since those old sorrows. This inner turmoil makes her highly unstable emotionally. One minute she'll laugh for absolutely no reason, and the next she'll just burst into tears. She gets deeply irritated over the absolute smallest trifles, and this anxiety even bleeds right into her sleep. She is plagued by these intense dreams that robbers have broken into her house. When she wakes up, she obsessively searches every single room before she can even begin to believe she's actually safe. All of this nervous, restless energy makes her incredibly clumsy and hasty in her waking life, causing her to constantly drop things right out of her hands. Section 2. Peculiar Physical Quirks. Imagine waking up to this sensation. She suffers from these brutal, intense headaches, but they follow some very strict rules. First off, they are almost exclusively left-sided. Second, the pain feels exactly as if 1,000 tiny hammers are striking inside her brain. Just brutal. Before this headache even begins, she gets a warning sign. Her vision blurs with these zigzag lights, sometimes even leading to temporary blindness. And these headaches run on a strict schedule, reaching their absolute peak every single morning between 10 and 11 a.m., and lasting from sunrise all the way until sunset. The imagery here is almost poetic in its strangeness. Take her tongue, for example. If she looks in the mirror, she sees what's called a mapped tongue, covered with these red island-like patches that actually resemble little ringworms. When she catches a cold, her nose pours out a thin, watery discharge that looks exactly like the clear white of an egg. She'll cough up thick, egg-white mucus, and every time she coughs, tears literally stream down her cheeks. And finally, she has an incredibly shy bladder. If anyone is even remotely nearby, she simply cannot pass urine. She has to wait until she is completely 100% alone, and even then, it comes slowly. Yet, ironically, urine might escape involuntarily when she's simply walking around, coughing or laughing. And this brilliantly illustrates how incredibly deep these constitutional quirks really go. She has an uncontrollable craving for salt, bitter things, fish, and milk, but she absolutely hates bread. Her physical frailties are intense, too. Her heart flutters so strongly that it actually shakes her entire body, especially when she's lying down, forcing her to lie on her right side just to get some relief. She suffers from irregular menses, which are cruelly followed by those signature hammering headaches. Her skin cracks into painful hangnails, and she gets this raw, inflamed eczema right at her hairline. And you know what's truly fascinating? These exact traits actually pass down to the babies in her family. They're born pale, thin, with those same long necks, crying over the slightest thing, hating bread, and, you guessed it, craving salt. Section 3. Triggers and Reliefs. Let's consider the strict rules of her world. Look at what makes her worse. The heat of the sun, that highly specific 10 to 11 a.m. window, and of course, consolation. But here's the ultimate irony of it all. The salt princess, the one who craves salt more than anything else, is actually worsened by life by the seashore. No way, right? Almost every single one of her complaints is aggravated there. On the flip side, open air and cold bathing actually bring her relief. But the true magic bullet for her is perspiration. When she finally breaks a sweat, all her suffering, including those brutal hammering headaches, just gradually disappears. Section 4. Decoding the mnemonic. Let's move to and see how this builds into a perfect memory tool. We can map the entire story we just learned perfectly onto the letters of her name. Let's quickly chunk through the first half. N-A-T-R-U-M. N stands for never console me. Remember, consolation seriously aggravates her. A is for anemia with emaciation, despite eating super well. T is for those 1,000 little hammers striking away in her left-sided headache. R stands for her robber dreams and her deeply reserved grief. U is for urine, how she cannot pass it in the presence of others, yet it leaks involuntarily when she coughs or laughs. And M is for that highly specific mapped tongue with its red island patches. Now let's wrap this up and complete the breakdown with MURIATICUM. This cheat sheet perfectly locks in the complex clinical profile we've been exploring. M is for morning aggravation, specifically 10 to 11 a.m. U is her uncontrollable craving for salt. R is for respiratory catarrh, or congestion, featuring that distinct egg white nasal discharge. I reminds us she is irritable, emotional, and constantly alternates between laughing and weeping. A is for alopecia, or hair loss. Her hair literally falls out on touch, especially in nursing women. T is for that defining thin, long neck. I is for the intense heart fluttering that shakes her whole body. C represents the chronic effects of all that old grief, anger, and fright. U is for urticaria, which is basically hives, and eczema right at the hairline, plus those painful hangnails. And finally, the last M is for modalities. Worse from the sun, the seashore, and consolation, but better in open air, cold bathing, and, crucially, by breaking a sweat. So, the crucial point is synthesis. If you take away absolutely nothing else from this explainer today, lock in these 5 grand keynotes through spaced repetition. Number 1, consolation aggravates. Number 2, she fiercely craves salt, but loses flesh, especially around the neck. Number 3, she suffers from left-sided hammering headaches. Number 4, look out for the mapped tongue and the egg white catarrh. And number 5, she is reliably worse between 10 and 11 a.m. and at the seashore, but always feels so much better by perspiration and open air. The profile of NATRUM MURIATICUM is just a beautiful, striking example of how deeply intertwined our emotional traumas are with our physical ailments. The Salt Princess carries this incredibly heavy burden in her heart, and her body basically creates 1,000 tiny hammers, mapped tongues, and shy bladders just to express it. If this methodology sounds like the solution to your study struggles, remember to subscribe to their channel for more easy stories and memory tricks. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Now go out there and start mastering the material one story at a time.